My first wife had sugar problems and still got primary custody of our son. I was young, 22 at that time, and didn't fight her in custody, and when he got older we weren't close, so I felt awkward asking him to live with us. She tried to prevent us from communicating and moved around a lot, so it was always hard to spend time with him until he got his phone. But now I've spent more time with him and we're close. My second wife is hardworking and very financially successful as an engineer. She makes more than me. Our daughter takes after her. She's a straight-A student and is going to be back in school to be a nursing practitioner soon. My wife is angry with me because my daughter and I aren't close. She goes to her mom for everything and doesn't speak to me much. We were close when she was young, but since high school she pretends I don't exist. I try to reach out, but it's met with silence. My wife poisoned her against me because I've spent most of my money on my son. My wife told my daughter I didn't pay for a cent of college for her and she did all the savings for her college fund. I didn't contribute to my daughter's college fund. I didn't pay for any piano lessons, etc. I did pay for half of the family expenses with my wife, like the mortgage, but my extra money has been going to my son. It's partly child support, but I've also been contributing outside of that. He didn't finish school with good enough grades for college. I gave him money to upgrade his grades and helped him get a place to start college. He got 2 semesters in and then left because he was depressed. He has a lot of issues from growing up with his mother and I feel partly responsible because I didn't try to fight for custody. I give him money for rent and he has issues holding down a job, so he needs support. My daughter recently reached out with a schedule for her and her fiancé's wedding. It had his and mom's dance but not the father-daughter one. I was confused and asked my daughter about that and she replied, "We aren't close enough for that." I was shocked and asked her why she would consider us not close and she said, "Well, you disinherited me." I called her and asked her to explain and she said because her mom paid for college and will be helping her with her NP degree. I didn't give a crap about her after middle school because of my son. I explained everything I said above to her and she knew most of it before that as well. She said I should have split my funds and time between them. I told her I felt like I did and she got angry and said I didn't, and it's like a single mom raised her, and that's why she's uncomfortable with having a wedding dance with me because it would be a lie. I felt like I was fair to them. I lived with my daughter. I just didn't pay for things outside of food, mortgage, utilities, etc. because I felt like my wife had it covered and my son was getting nothing. My ex-wife wasn't saving anything and I wanted to help him because he had a much harder time than my daughter, who had an attentive mother. But she felt I was prioritizing my son and, in her words, disinherited her. I feel like she should understand the situation, but she didn't want me to be included in the wedding much. Poor little OP, nothing's ever your fault, is it? You didn't father your son because of the evil ex, and you didn't fight for custody, even though you paid child support, and you didn't father your daughter because you spent all your time and money on your son, and your wife poisoned your daughter by telling her the truth. And somehow this was enough to trump all the actual parenting because you were still a fully involved parent, right? Right? Somehow it's all the women's fault that you didn't raise either of your kids. Sure. You are the idiot, mate. Like, don't be obtuse. Use your brain and it's pretty obvious. You fell into the very common but still unacceptable trap of ignoring the child you didn't think needed you, at least not like your son, and overcompensating with the child you perceive as needing more. If you can manage a sincere apology and work on yourself through therapy, your daughter may come around. Your end goal, however, should be to realize your mistakes and be better, not corral her into the relationship you want. She doesn't owe you that. This, a million times this. My mom did this to my brother, and she neglected me and spoiled him because she was convinced he needed her more. Some of the disparities are comparable to what OP describes. I will never be close to her. She literally ignored me in my time of greatest need when I was pleading for help, and I will never forgive her for that. OP, you have your work cut out to make up for neglecting your daughter and leaving your wife to be a single parent. You didn't disinherit your daughter, you neglected her in an effort to save your son. You failed both. Apologize to both. Vow to be better and do it. I, 26 female, was lying in my bed last night around 7 PM, eating popcorn and cranberry cookies while watching a movie. My boyfriend, 28, who doesn't live with me but has a key, came over after work. He recently got a new job and has been working non-stop for the past 4 months to save up for a new car. I'm talking double shifts, overtime, working 7 days a week, hardly sleeping, just working all the time. So, as a result, I only saw him approximately 3 times in the past 4 months, and each time we didn't do anything because he was super tired. Anyway, he came over last night to see me and scolded me for eating cookies on my bed, saying I'm messy so I'll leave crumbs for ants to bite him while he sleeps. I responded by just staring blankly at him for a couple of seconds. He said, "Oh, I forgot you're on your period." I said, "What? I'm not on my period." He looked confused and pulled out his phone. He said according to his period tracker, which mind you I didn't know he had, I was supposed to start my period on the 13th, and by me not being on my period it means I'm late. I told him that I've been stressed with work and home life lately, so maybe that's why it's not here yet. He said, "Or maybe you've been having fun with other people while I've been working hard for us." At this point, I'm offended and upset. He then demanded that I take a pregnancy test. I told him that I just don't have pregnancy tests lying around. He said, "Okay," and left. I tried calling him, no answer. He returns 10 minutes later with a pregnancy test from the pharmacy up the street. I was appalled. My jaw is still on the floor. I told him that I wasn't pregnant because I hadn't done anything to get pregnant and I wasn't taking a pregnancy test, and that if he doesn't trust me when I've done nothing wrong, he needs to figure out why. He said that if I can't take a pregnancy test, that just proves I have something to hide. I asked him politely to leave, and he did. I thought that was the end of it, but this morning I woke up to a bunch of messages from him, his best friend, and his sister, all calling me horrible names for cheating on him. In one of the messages, he calls me an idiot for not taking the test to please his mind. I haven't responded yet because it's 6:38 AM and I don't know what to say. Am I the idiot? So he reprimands you like a child for eating food in your bed. He brings up your period and whips out a period tracker that he's using without your knowledge, accuses you of cheating, tries to force you to take a test for his benefit, and then gets multiple members of his family involved, telling them that you're cheating, and gets them to berate you into doing what he tells you to do because he wants it. Girl, this man is a controlling, abusive idiot. Run now because this will not get any better. Trust me, is this the kind of person you want in your life? No, no, no. You are not the idiot, but dump the guy. I wonder if he thinks the Earth is cheating on him when his weather app is incorrect. OP, change the locks of your house and dump the crazy guy. This is not a person you want to be in a relationship with. This is a major red flag. He's controlling and ignorant at the very least. Getting people to harass and berate you is very alarming. He's trying to manipulate you into thinking this is okay. Probably gave an exaggerated story to them to make you look like the bad guy. But I would have taken the test and dumped him. See, not pregnant, as I told you. Since you clearly don't trust me, I have no reason or interest in continuing this relationship. I suggest you read a book and research before you get with your next girlfriend. Bye, and then block on everything. I, female 28, got with my boyfriend 28 about 3 years ago. When we met, he'd just gotten divorced and we officially started dating a year later. His ex-wife doesn't like me. She made it clear from day one, and I'm not blaming her. I mean, I never got divorced, or married for that matter, so I don't know what's the appropriate amount of time to date after a divorce. His parents are still very fond of her and often invite her for dinner. That means we have to see her when we go to his parents. The issue is that she obviously doesn't like me and always throws little digs at me. I told my boyfriend and he talked with her, and she promised she'd try to be more civil, and she is more civil, but I can always feel her looking distastefully at me, so I'm often uncomfortable. Anyway, his parents invited us for dinner last Friday, but his ex-wife was going to be there too, so I told them that even though I liked them, I wouldn't be there if she was because I'm uncomfortable. They weren't happy, they called me petty and manipulative, they said his ex-wife would always be a part of their life, and they felt like I was trying to get rid of her. It wasn't my intention, I tried to explain, but they didn't care. My boyfriend also tried to talk to them, but they didn't care either. My boyfriend still went, I told him to, and apparently they said they wouldn't invite me anymore since I didn't appreciate the invite. I'm so confused because it's not the outcome I thought it'd be. I thought they'd understand and invite us when his ex-wife isn't there too. So now I'm wondering if I may be overreacted and should just get that if I want a good relationship with his parents, I also have to accept his ex-wife. Edit, he was working too much and they didn't see each other often, so they got divorced and no kids involved. Not the idiot. His parents sound toxic. They probably want him to get back with her, so they're doing everything they can to make any new partner leave. Your problem, though, is your partner. He either has your back or doesn't. It's not normal to have happy family dinners with ex-partners like this. If they want to maintain a relationship with her, they can in private. If nothing else, they're not allowing your partner to move on. I don't blame you for not going somewhere where you feel uncomfortable. However, I'd also think really hard about continuing this relationship. The in-laws will always be crappy, and they will make your life a nightmare for as long as they can. Can you put up with that? And will your partner support you and put your needs first? So they don't have children. Obviously, there's no reason whatsoever that your boyfriend and his parents even have contact with her anymore. The only way for that would be if they separated amicably, which I don't think they did given his ex's reactions. Your boyfriend should set boundaries for his ex and especially for his parents. Otherwise, I'd be concerned they're not really separate at all if I were in your shoes. This is really inappropriate from all of them. My boyfriend, 31, and I, 29 female, have been together for 7 years now. I'd voiced that I wanted to be engaged before the 4-year mark. He agreed at the time. When we were half a year from reaching our 4th anniversary, I revisited the topic of marriage and told him I was expecting to get married. He was finishing up his master's program then and said he wanted to get out of student debt again and get his finances in order. I bit my tongue and understood that we were partners and I could try to meet him halfway. He earns good money and we already moved in together 2 years into our relationship and did long distance when he was in his master's program. My job is remote, so I moved into his hometown, 3 hours away from the OG. I've been seeing all my friends and cousins get married and it's hard to feel happy on such a joyous occasion when your ring finger feels so empty and everyone starts asking you. Lately my partner has been thriving at work and enjoying his new life, and it's almost as if he forgot about our personal goals. When I initiated a discussion again, I could sense he was dragging his feet. He didn't have enough money for a ring or savings for a wedding when he would buy the motorbike he'd always wanted since he was a kid. He said our life is good as is. Why do we need a stamp of validation from the world? You're on your own health insurance, so what's the point? All of this has just left me heartbroken. Why don't I deserve to be his wife after being his girlfriend for so long? Does he not love me enough to make a romantic gesture for me, choosing me over his useless bike? I talked to my sister who got engaged 2 years into her relationship, and her approach was simple yet effective. She told me to withdraw all wife privileges from him until I get that title that he has to earn me, not cleaning and cooking for him, moving out, not paying for his expenses sometimes, stuff like that. My boyfriend got mad because I didn't renew our lease with him and told me that's a very poor way of handling things and we need this constant in our life to preserve that intimacy, telling me that's the kind of precedent I'm setting up for our eventual marriage. I have been a wife for you without the title. I gave myself completely to you, expecting you to do this one thing for me. I've waited long enough. I don't believe in ultimatums, so I'm not going to force your hand. I'm acting as your girlfriend now. If you really want our relationship to return to what it was, you better upgrade me. Am I the idiot? Edit. In our culture, in hetero relationships, a woman making comments about being ready to marry or wanting to get engaged is her proposal. Then it's up to the man to either accept by proposing formally or decline by not proposing, and at that stage the woman proposing is embarrassing herself by doing it, to be honest. So, by your own logic, you've proposed to him twice and he's rejected your proposal. Unfortunately, I think it's pretty clear he doesn't want to get married, and if that is a deal breaker for you, I think it's best to part ways. I know that's hard to hear and easier said than done, but you will get through and you will be okay. You're not the idiot for wanting to get married. You are the idiot for attempting to manipulate him into a marriage he doesn't want. Why would any woman want to marry a man they had to nag, threaten and manipulate to marry them? No woman with any self-respect. Girl, he doesn't want to marry you, and forcing him to do it will screw you both over. Trying to force a man to marry you makes you the idiot. Why would you want to make a lifelong commitment to someone who doesn't want to be committed to you? Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. You've wasted enough time on someone uninterested in marrying you. My 28 female husband, 34, has 2 kids from a previous marriage. He doesn't want to have any more kids, thank God, because I don't want kids, never have. This has been clear since the beginning of our relationship. I have no problem with his kids, they live with their mother, but he gets them every other weekend and one day out of every week, which is perfectly fine. One of his kids, teen male, is, how can I say this, difficult, i.e. he has angry outbursts and throws things. His mother doesn't want to deal with him anymore, so she wants to drop him off to live with his dad. He told her okay without consulting me first, and he is now, after the fact, asking me if I'm okay with it, after he already told the mother yes and told his son he could come live with us. At that moment I said, okay, but what am I supposed to say? No? At the same time, what is he as the father supposed to say? No? I feel bad, but I don't want him here. And what if he gets frustrated with my dog and hurts him? What do I do? Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. He should never have said yes without speaking to you first. But you shouldn't have married a man with children. Even if they are the non-custodial parent, things change. All kids have phases. Sometimes they need to be with a different parent. The mom isn't asking dad to take him because she doesn't love him. It's because she does love him, and this is what is best for him and her now. Your best bet is to create ground rules that allow you to remove yourself from parenting when needed and maintain your boundaries, because this is happening. I'm getting so sick of hearing about child-free people marrying parents and then being mad when the parents have to step up and parent. It's always a possibility. The ex could die, be severely incapacitated, lose custody rights. The kid could just choose the other parent, like Jesus. If you can't fathom these real possibilities, don't marry parents. OP, you either deal with it or move out. Neither of those two deserves to deal with you being upset because he has a son.